On this episode, I'm starting out in south central Saskatchewan with a regular season archery mule deer tag and ending it with a late season rutted up whitetail hunt. This incredibly frustrating but action-packed episode is one you're not going to want to miss. The moment is brought to you by Recreations Taxidermy, the partners of GOBI Heat. Stay warm, always. Greener Living Products, Highway Mart Archery Shop and Western Wear, and by Rack Stacker, Canada's leader in big game attractants. The season started out trying to get Kioma to tag out early on the buck of her choice. After mapping out the area and putting on some serious miles, we found a hill with a great vantage point where we'd glass in the evenings. It didn't take long before we had 2 small bucks in view, which Kioma was excitingly prepared to harvest. We ventured over and slowly crept over the hill to see if she were able to make a shot, only to find them going in the other direction. We hurried down the other side of the hill, and when we peeked over, they were exactly where we initially were. I was walking through the pasture when I came across this wide 4x4 standing about 150 yards away with 10 minutes left of legal light. The only problem was he was standing on the other side of the fence where I didn't have permission. I watched in complete disbelief as this buck walked away, but little did I know I would have plenty of other opportunities with this deer. On this particular morning, I saw more than 40 mule deer slowly making their way back to bed in the cover, and while laying in the grass, this young buck with great potential walked by less than 30 yards away. Having this smaller buck bust me as I tried to put my rangefinder down turned out to be a blessing, because farther in behind him was the wide buck I decided to name Tease, grazing in the field in the distance. I had to hold myself back from crawling down the hill to get within range of Tease as he was sparring with this younger buck, but the lack of cover and swirling wind prevented me from doing so, and I'm glad it did, because soon after he started to walk within range, and before long he was broadside at 45 yards. I was completely devastated. When I drew back, the smaller buck in front caught me, which caused Tease to take a few hops away. I knew he wasn't much farther than what I had previously ranged him at, but when I shot, I hit a branch, causing my arrow to deflect to the left, resulting in a clean miss.
That's frustrating.
The last 7 minutes of this season, I see 4 bucks stepping out of the bush for their evening feed, one of them being Tease. He hopped over the fence and was facing me with his head down, feeding 30 yards away. All I needed was for him to turn broadside, but instead he goes back towards the bush on the other side of the fence, standing 54 yards away, perfectly broadside. All I heard was the clashing of metal. My arrow hit the barbed wire fence in between Tease and I, deflecting right and resulting in another clean miss. I still wouldn't call my archery season unsuccessful. I had my mind wrapped around Tease so much I didn't even try for whitetail. I learned a lot and had some amazing and frustrating encounters. I could have tagged out on plenty of smaller bucks, but I held out for the right opportunity with Tease, which will have to wait for another year. While patiently waiting in the stand, we noticed a 4x4 making his way down the trail, and Kioma excitingly prepared to take her second deer. While waiting for this buck to turn broadside, the cold weather took a toll on my camera battery, but Kioma wasn't going to let that stop her from a broadside shot. With Kioma tagged out on her buck, it was now my turn to fill my tag. "150 yards north, my spy point trail camera picked up on something that I couldn't quite see yet while watching this doe.
Okay, I just got one, guys. He's a pretty good one, I think. He's probably gonna be about a 140. I'm gonna slowly pack things up and head down there. He was going in for the rack stacker, but he didn't quite make it. Oh, there he is right there. This is that nice. Holy.
Nice buck. Here.
That's my ringer. Not bad.
Nice deer.
Holy. Quite a difference in color compared to last year's buck, hey? Holy, he's got the same frame though. Take my gloves off so I don't look like a wuss. Oh, and he's just covered in bark and stuff there from scraping. Look at that, he's got some junk on there too. He is tall, hey? He's thick.
He's got a very similar shape to your last year's one,
Yeah.
just not as close.
That's a big boy. Oh. Saskatchewan deer are bodybuilders. Four-wheel drive. Second day of the season this year. I needed this guy after my unsuccessful, but yet successful mule deer archery season. So I couldn't be happier to get this guy. And there's a doe that came in this morning at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and she was feeding for probably about 45 minutes, and I was sitting there freezing the whole time. I was actually hoping that she would take off right away so that I could pack up and get going. And just as she was leaving, I started to pack things up and decided to take one last little glass, and saw this guy walking down the hill with his head down, hot on the doe, and chased her a little bit, and he was tempted to come into that rack stacker, but I just didn't give him a chance this time. So couldn't be happier or more thankful for this. It's a beautiful buck, nice dark chocolate antlers, beautiful 4x4, very lucky. Thank you, my Lord. Let's get it. Look at that lung shot. That would be why he crashed, which is good because I like to eat the heart. So let's go.